A couple of days ago, I saw a rig big enough to hold that tanker. You want to get out of here? You talk to me. Yes, guys! Man, Furiosa and Mad Max saga is just around the corner, so of course, to celebrate a new Mad Max movie is coming out, of course, I'm going to review the rest of the Mad Max movie series leading up to that movie, including re-reviewing Mad Max Fury Road. Now, in 2020, I've already covered the 1979 classic. You can check that review out at the end of this video. That review was a lot of fun back then, and I was planning to review the rest of the Mad Max movies, but I got so busy. Now we're in 2024, right time to review the rest of the Mad Max movies leading up to Furiosa coming out, which I'm so pumped. Heard great things about that movie. So, of course, continue off with my Mad Max reviews. We're going to review not just one of the best sequels of all time, but I would say one of the best action films of all time. Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior came out in 1981. This movie is directed by George Miller, the legend who directed all these movies, and of course stars Mel Gibson as the iconic Mad Max.
This is a land that prays for a hero.
Well, if anyone's gonna get in there, it's gonna be you.
This is Mad Max 2.
Let's talk about the history with the Mad Max movies, especially with the original, before I get to this review. Just a little recap of my thoughts on the 1979 Mad Max. I think it's an Aussie classic. I think it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It is a movie that I completely grew up with, and it's a movie that is filmed basically in the state where I live, in Victoria. There's so many filming locations that, you know, are famous because of Mad Max. Mad Max is the icon of Aussie films, and even just action films in general. But I gotta say, with Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior, this is one of those movies that surpasses the original in every step of the way. Just from the look of Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior, you can really tell this is much more bigger budget than the first movie. The first movie is definitely a small budget film with some great stunts. This movie, you can tell that this looks like a completely different film, and man, this is an action-packed ride from start to finish. Just from that interceptor opening scene of this movie, man, this movie starts off saying, we're gonna make this better than the original. Just from the filming alone, that opening interceptor chase is one of my favorite action scenes of all time, and probably one of my favorite opening scenes of all time. It really grips my attention. The shots, the cinematography, it looks fantastic. Actually, the overall action in Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior is one of the best action scenes that I've seen in movie history. There's so many amazing stunt work in this film that you so unbelieve that some people can survive this. That is really freaking insane.
Max,
It's a long time since I've seen driving like that, man.
the warrior of the road.
You're okay by me, pal.
Gotta hand it to you, Treasure. The last of the V8 interceptors.
Every day we get weaker while they get stronger.
You want to get out of here? You talk to me.
This movie has some of the most iconic action scenes ever, like the interceptor opening scene, the tanker chase, the ending tanker chase. There's so many great car chases in this movie. This movie, in my opinion, is like the king of car chases in movies. There's so many fun car chases. Also, Mel Gibson as Max in this movie. Loved his redemption in this film. He is a completely broken hero in the film. After the events of the last film, where, spoilers from the first Mad Max movie, this will consider spoilers as well. If you have not seen The Road Warrior, first of all, where have you been? Max's family died in the first movie, and you can tell that Max has completely changed throughout the years in this post-apocalyptic world, because yes, this movie takes place in now the most post-apocalyptic world. You know, the first movie kind of leads up to this post-apocalyptic world. This movie, you can tell that you're in this post-apocalyptic world, and Max is just a completely broken hero in this film. Basically, in this movie, Max stumbles upon this facility full of survivors that's tormented by a band of bandits that is led by probably one of the most badass villains of all time, Lord Humongous, which we'll get back to that later. But Max himself, Mel Gibson, this is probably one of my favorite performances by Mel Gibson in any of the Mad Max movies. He is mostly very silent in this movie, just from his facial expressions. You understand exactly how he feels, and the dialogue that he speaks in this film, every single word of his dialogue is there for a reason. And every single line that Max speaks in the film, you just feel with him in the film. He's a broken hero that kind of basically learns to become this hero. At first he just wants to go to this facility just for gasoline, and he just helps the people for that. And then he has a change of heart throughout the movie, and that is what you call a hero in this film. And I like that after he helps these people, he doesn't stay with them. He continues on the road. That shows that he is just a vigilante that helps whatever he can.
Now, to do the job, I need some high-octane gasoline.
Got yourself a deal.
You can run, but you can't hide!
You gonna crash or crash through?
I was wrong about you. I'm sorry.
And Mel Gibson, man, he just performs that character very freaking well, and I would say this is one of the best Mel Gibson performances, I would say with Braveheart in my personal opinion. But man, the villains in this movie, what fun freaking villains. The villains are absolutely fun to watch in this film. They're insane, they're crazy, probably crazier than the first movie was. You can tell that each actor who plays these villains had so much fun playing these roles, and of course, let's talk about the main villain here, Lord Humongous.
Give me some fuel, and I'll spare your lives.
What a badass looking villain, guys. Literally, Lord Humongous, he's sort of basically like Bane in the Mad Max world, you know, like the toe cutter from the first Mad Max is like the Joker. In the Mad Max world, he's just completely insane. Man, Lord Humongous is just like Bane, basically, in the Mad Max world. He is physically challenging in this film, but he's also really badass in this film and just so menacingly looking.
Here it is.
Greetings from the Humongous.
In a world without gas.
The Humongous rules the wasteland.
I'm gravely disappointed that you wish to take the gasoline out of the wasteland.
With that hockey mask, man, with that hockey mask, it just works for this type of villain. He's very threatening, he is fun to watch, he's fun to impersonate. There's so many fun scenes with Lord Humongous, and I think Lord Humongous, with I would say Morton Joe in the Mad Max series, is one of my favorite Mad Max villains. And there's some other cool characters as well, like this kid in this film. This cave kid, like the movie doesn't explain who this kid's name is or anything. I call him like the Boomerang Cave Kid because, man, he presents probably one of the best and only badass boomerang scenes that I have seen. Seriously, he just throws a boomerang and cuts one of the villain's fingers off. It is so freaking badass. Like, after watching this movie, I just want a boomerang as a weapon. It is very useful. Bruce Spence is also really good in this film. He looks like he had a lot of fun playing this role. With the whole facility, the whole survivors in the film, every character in this movie, you feel like they want hope. You feel like they need help from somebody. You feel like they're in this situation with these villains. It's sort of like Mad Max's version of A Bug's Life, basically. You want these survivors to get out of the situation, and you root for Max to basically help these people from Lord Humongous. And like I said, it creates some of the most fun action scenes that I've seen in a movie. But what's really impressive about Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior is the cinematography, the way the movie looks in general. This is a great looking movie, and man, the cinematography still holds up to this day, and this movie came out in 1981. It's just completely insane that the cinematography in 1981 still looks great till this day. And of course, the score in this movie, every single time the score comes up, it is there for a reason. It gets repetitive, but it's good repetitive. You definitely feel the fun just from the score of the film. If there wasn't this type of score, I wouldn't have fun with the action scenes as it is, because the score really does help. But the story was very investing, the characters were very investing, the action scenes are amazing as hell. Man, Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior has everything you want from an action movie, and it's definitely, I would say it's in my top 10 favorite action movies of all freaking time. So guys, overall, Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior, there's nothing too much to say. by saying that this is one of the best action films that came out in the 80s. This is definitely a sequel that surpasses the original in every step of the way. Mel Gibson presents one of his best performances that I've seen him in a film. The action scenes are fantastic. So many great car chases in the film. A badass villain. Fun side villains as well. Like, there's a guy with a freaking red mohawk that is so crazy and badass in this film. This movie definitely represents what you want in an action film, and we don't get action films like this anymore, where it's like a lot of people put so much effort in these stunts, and George Miller is bringing that back now in Furiosa, and it's just really freaking awesome. Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior is definitely one of the best action films that came out in the 80s, and I would say it's definitely in not just one of my favorite action films, but I would say one of the best sequels of all time.
And there's no place left to run. When all that's left is one last chance. Pray that he's still out there. Somewhere. Mad Max 2.
So guys, that is my review for Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. Next review is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. That review is coming up very, very soon. Man, I'm excited to review the rest of the Mad Max movies, and I cannot wait to see Furiosa. Let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite moments in Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior and the first movie? Let me know that in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Notify for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.